So thank you everyone for joining us for this Zoom into presentation. We're switching it up a little bit today as your presenters are not scientists, we're communicators. My name is Todd Taylor, and I'm the Assistant Director of Communications for the McKnight Brain Institute. And joining me to present are Michelle Jaffe. If you want to say hi, Michelle, so they know who you are. She's our science writer. And then Jackie Hart is joining us. She is our communication specialist.
Hello.
So what we wanted to do was kind of walk you through a few existing resources that we have for our researchers, and then also talk about some new resources that we're really excited about. These are all to help you both promote your own research, and then we're going to also talk about ways that we can help you promote your research. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. This is our MBI website. So over the past several years now, we've been working to make a lot of improvements and updates to this website. We're really happy with where it is. It's really like the McKnight Brain Institute itself. It's intended to be a representation of neuro research really across the whole campus, not just that's happening in the building. So I'm going to walk you through some of the main areas of the website quickly. So our research area, we have, we highlight 8 focus areas, and within these areas, if you click through, you'll find kind of the research that's happening by our MBI researchers. You'll find current news. You'll find the centers and programs that are affiliated with these research areas. They're almost like little hubs in themselves for those research areas. You can do some PubMed searches here. We have a really cool research snapshots feature that helps you highlight your science. And then you can also just kind of explore the research facilities that are actually in the building. And then moving along, our partners menu, this really kind of illustrates that hub philosophy that we have. It shows, it gives descriptions, and you can link out to all the various centers and programs and institutes that our researchers work for and collaborate with. And as you scroll down, you can learn more about the McKnight Brain Research Foundation, which of course is our founding donor. And as you continue to move on, you'll see many philanthropic partners that support our researchers' work. If you don't see a donor here that you work with, just let us know. It's always, we're always adding to it, and it's evolving. So the next area is news. So this kind of highlights the work that our team does. Here you'll find, well, right now we have kind of a COVID-19 call out here. You can find out, the research reentry plan from UF. You can also see news from our researchers. And then we kind of have our typical news feed here. We have our researchers in the spotlight area. This is for highlighting media appearances or awards that our researchers have received. And then of course, the events calendar. Look, there we are. All right, so moving on to education and outreach. So this has been a huge priority over the last few years, and we have a great committee that's really expanded on the efforts of the MBI and neuro community as a whole. Here you'll find outreach events. Unfortunately, a lot of these are on hold, of course. The in-person events, training programs. You can learn about trainee funding opportunities as well as faculty funding opportunities. Again, a lot of these programs are kind of fluid with COVID-19, but keep an eye on this page and encourage your colleagues to as well. And then moving on to the members page. So we encourage everyone, whether you're a faculty member, if you're a postdoc, fellow, resident, it really doesn't matter. Please become a member. It'll get you on our listserv, so you'll get some of the more important announcements that come through from our directors. You'll also get our e-newsletter that's really a nice recap of everything going on. And for our faculty members, you'll be included in our faculty directory. So this is a really great tool for faculty or really anyone doing research in neuro. It's a searchable database. We have about 170 members on it. You can basically type in your research interest area and it populates as you type. And then you can see all of the folks that are doing similar research that you could collaborate with. You can click on their name and you can find their contact information. As you can see, they come from all over campus, you know, engineering, neurosurgery, oncology, chemistry. So this is just a really great resource. It's easy to become a member. You'll click right here. It's an online form, takes maybe 5 minutes. So yeah, if you're not a member already, we encourage you to do so. So also in this members area are some of these new tools that we're going to show you. So this is a brand new area. It's called Member Communications Resources. And when you click here, you're going to find several areas, and I'll kind of walk you through them and hit some of the highlights. So the first one here is digital and print materials. So we provide a lot of information of how you can use Canva. So this is a free graphic design program. I don't have a design background, but I can use it. It's very easy to use. We provide links to some tutorials. As you scroll down this page at the bottom, you'll find some sizing recommendations. So if you create a graphic in Canva and you want to put it on your Facebook page, you'll know the right way to size it. So, you know, people's heads don't get cut off or parts of the photo get left out. Also, there's a template here that Jackie created, which is great. So you can create a flyer to promote, you know, if you have an event coming up or a seminar and you just want to put something together quickly. We have like a poster size, the 18 by 24, and then also a standard flyer size. So when you click here, the first thing you should do, and it's noted above the template, is to copy this template so that we don't overwrite the template. But once you're in here, it's super easy. You can just click and enter fields and change your title. You can just pull photos off your desktop like I'm doing here. And then you can just drop them right into the template and they populate. Drag it here or here. You can move around these fields and, you know, you can play around with this. Very easy, user-friendly. And then when you're ready to share it or print it, up here in the top right, there's a download button. So it's set to download as an image, which you can use, you know, on email or a website. But you can also use this PDF print option and click crop marks and bleed. And when you download that, that's exactly what you could send to a printer to get it professionally printed. So good resource there. If you have any questions, reach out to us and we're happy to help you out. Also on this page, you'll find some Zoom backgrounds. We have several iterations for McKnight Brain Institute. We have one for the Fixell Institute. We have a few departmental ones. So feel free to use any of those. You can just right click on them and download them to your desktop. So the next area I wanted to show you is the photo gallery. And before we go through it, just a couple things I wanted to note. One is that if you're using your own photos and there's a patient involved in any way, please make sure that you go through us to get a patient authorization form filled out. This is a requirement from UF Legal. It's to protect, you know, PHI. We do them all the time, so we can fairly easily facilitate those for you. But we've come into situations where it isn't even the researcher's photo. They may have shared someone else's post with a patient photo in it, but we can't even do that without a form because that's implying it's your patient. We just have to be very careful. I would say just reach out to us if there's anything involving a patient and we can guide you. Another thing to keep in mind with photos right now is that we want to make sure that they are reflecting the current regulations regarding masking and physical distancing. So we've had a couple instances where, you know, there might have been a group photo and they were too close and nobody was wearing masks and it's had to be taken down. So just keep in mind that we just want to be sure we're reflecting what our requirements are. But enough of the rules and regulations. So here you can find the MBI logo if you need it for, you know, a presentation or a flyer. We have some facility photos. We have equipment photos, researchers in action. Feel free to right-click, pull any of these off. We made sure not to have faces. That way they're a little more general. So feel free to use these in any way that will help you. And then moving on to social media tips. So this area provides all kinds of great advice, whether you are a social media pro or you want to create an account. There's just some really good guidance here, especially, you know, in this current social, political climate. I think it becomes more and more important to just really be thoughtful about how you're interacting with social media. So this has everything from how to keep up with it to general tips. As you scroll down, we dive more deeply into Facebook and Twitter. So for a lot of researchers, creating a professional page might be a good idea. It's harder on Facebook than it is on Twitter to kind of intertwine your personal and professional lives. So this walks you through how to do it. So feel free to visit that if you're thinking about doing that. And then on the Twitter page here, we also walk you through how to create an account. And that could be personal or professional. It's more common for people to kind of intertwine the two on Twitter, but certainly something you can consider to create a professional page. And please note there's kind of a little call out here on the top of both of these account creation pages. If you are looking to create a UF or UF Health affiliated page for your lab, program, center, institute, there is a process. So there's an application, there's a committee that reviews it. You want to make sure to go through that process, because if you don't, the main accounts, UF Health, they probably won't share your content unless your account is official. So if you have any questions about any of that, just let us know. Most of these pages, if you scroll to the bottom, oh, that was a bad example. You're gonna find our contact information. I think it's here. So just any questions, we're happy to answer them, point you in the right direction. All right, so moving on to professional headshots. So if you're affiliated with UF Health in any way, faculty, staff member, you can get a free professional headshot through our creative services team. They have a production studio on the second floor of the Communicore. If you click through here, you'll be able to find open hours. You don't even have to make an appointment. They have hour blocks. You can just walk in. There are white coats there available for you. If you're a researcher, we do suggest, even if you don't usually wear a white coat, maybe put one on for a few of the shots and then take one off for a couple other shots. It's very helpful for us when we're trying to communicate about your science. And then a few days after your shoot, you'll get a link and you can have those photos for your own uses. It's a really great service provided by our creative services team. Moving on to requesting publicity.
Can you touch those photos up so we have more hair and things, Todd?
Ha! I'm sure. Could they make this beard a little less gray? I guess I'll ask them.
Isn't that just for men?
You're right. You're right. So requesting publicity. We now have an online form. It's just a few fields, and then you can just kind of send us some information, some links. If you have a proof of your paper, that's super helpful. So if you have a big paper coming out, if you have a large grant that's coming up, if you have a prestigious award that you're going to be earning from your industry, let us know early as you can. That helps us not only manage our work queue, but also, you know, ideally we can time it. We'd love to like put out our communications the same day your paper publishes, kind of get the most bang for the buck there. We have a lot of different ways that we can publicize, not one size fits all. We're kind of moving away from the traditional news release. We find that our media, especially now with everything that's going on, they're just very oversaturated. So we really try to pick our spots. But we have many other ways. You know, it could be a photo gallery, it could be a quick video, could be a web post, social media post, some combination of those things. You know, obviously we have a ton of researchers and a ton of papers and grants, so we can't always do it all, but we do our best to find some way to promote your science. So encourage you to submit those requests as early as you can. And speaking of different ways to publicize your research, I'm now going to pass it over to Michelle Jaffe, our science writer. She does a great job working with a somewhat new platform called The Conversation, which is a great way for researchers to get their work out there to the general public. So Michelle, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about The Conversation, and I'm going to share my screen here, show you what this looks like. So, so this is the Conversation. The Conversation is a news site that's written by academics like yourselves from across the nation and the world. As you can see on this site, the articles and essays here are bylined by academics, and then it has their university affiliation next to their name. So academic experts from universities, including UF, write lay-friendly essays that are about 1,000 words long, and the essays are typically pegged to a news event or a hot topic or exciting new research. And it's a way to get your science and your voice and expertise out in front of thousands of lay readers. These essays appear on this website, the Conversations website, but they're also often picked up and republished in major lay news outlets, from Scientific American to the Washington Post to the Chicago Tribune. So why write for The Conversation? Everyone is super busy. But this outlet offers an opportunity like no other for you to connect directly with readers, colleagues, and fellow subject matter experts from across the globe. Conversation pieces written by our UF faculty members typically get thousands of reads, and they provide the analytics for us so that we can see that. As you can see here, the conversation pieces can be on almost any topic, as long as you can hyperlink to several research studies that support your analysis. Most of our MBI members who write for The Conversation have had the opportunity to work with their wonderful health and medicine editor, whose name is Lynn Anderson. So what is the process for writing for The Conversation? So here's a good example of the process. In June of last year, Dr. Dukoski emailed to let us know that he had a new paper coming out about supplements marketed for brain health. And he was a member of the expert panel that had produced this paper. So we turned around and asked him if he could write a quick turnaround essay for The Conversation pegged to this news. And this is the piece that he wrote. Supplements for brain health show no benefit. A neurologist explains a new study. So the key often with The Conversation is to try to have the academic paper and the conversation piece come out around the same time. So this is where, like Todd was talking about, giving us advance notice. If we can plan it and try to peg them to come out around the same time, same day or within a few days, it really helps to have these come out while the news is hot. Then they often get more reads. Some pieces are more evergreen and they don't necessarily have this urgency and you can take your time on it, but it just depends on the topic. So we pitched Dr. Dukoski's idea to an editor at The Conversation, and they bit on this topic. One thing to note is that they only do choose select topics that would be of interest to general audiences. And another thing to note is that they do not permit ghostwriting. For the sake of authenticity, these have to be authored by the academic. So Todd and I cannot write them. They need to be authored by the expert. One easy in with The Conversation is for example, if a celebrity is diagnosed with a neurologic disease, Dr. Dwayne Mitchell did one on John McCain's glioblastoma, and Dr. Oken did one on Ozzy Osbourne's Parkinson's. The conversation really tends to pick up on those. So once they accept an idea, we can help connect you with an editor at the conversation who can walk you through the process and will edit your piece. And the process involves using their online portal. The conversations editors regularly send a list of hot topics to us, to communicators at various universities, to help find experts who can write authoritatively on a topic. So we may come to you to see if you're available to write on a certain topic. So Dr. Dukoski is one of nearly 200 UF faculty members who've now written for the conversation. This is the UF page of the conversation, and here you can see some of your colleagues who have written conversation articles. There's actually 4 pages of UF faculty members now who have written for the conversation. UF was actually a founding member of the conversation, which is a nonprofit, and it provides its articles to other publications for free. Under its Creative Commons license, reprints have to be run verbatim, so no one will change your article once it runs. And then after it's published, you can access the analytics. So here are, for example, the analytics for Dr. Dukoski's piece, which now is up to nearly 150,000 reads. Now this one did super well. They usually get in the thousands or tens of thousands of reads. This one did extraordinarily well. And then here you can see all the outlets that republished this piece and how many reads it got through those outlets. And then some of the essays live on and on, continuing to pick up thousands of new readers months or even years after they publish. So these numbers often will, they'll spike, but then they often will keep going up. So you can see here, this is Dr. Dukoski's piece as it ran in the Washington Post. And then with his byline at the top, and then here it is in the UK's Daily Mail. Another thing to note is that no money is exchanged. Academics are not paid to write for the conversation, but UF is a supporter of the conversation. And when your essay is published, we then will repost and retweet your essay on the MBI website and social channels to further expand the reach. We've really yet to find another vehicle like the conversation that can get our faculty members out in front of thousands of lay readers like this. So it's really a great opportunity. So check it out when you have a chance, and please let me know if you're interested. And back to you, Todd.
Thanks, Michelle. One other thing to note, Michelle talked about how they kind of live on. One of the ways that happens is oftentimes they're looking for an expert when someone is either diagnosed or passes away from a condition. For example, when Jesse Jackson was diagnosed with Parkinson, I believe Dr. Michael Oken did a conversation piece. And then subsequently, I believe it was Alan Alda was diagnosed. They'll kind of change the lead, and maybe update some of the facts, but there's an opportunity there to have your article used more than once, which just starts the analytics all over again and gets you more and more reads. So there's really endless opportunities with it. Thank you, Michelle. And I'm just going to quickly share my screen again. And talking about media and publicity, I just wanted to mention, if a media member contacts you, even if it's a student journalist, please let one of us know. We can, first of all, the main reason is so we can vet these requests, because we've been seeing increasingly kind of marketing companies disguised as news outlets, and they'll get you on a phone call, and then you'll realize 30 minutes in that they're trying to get you to purchase something for the content they're going to produce. So we can kind of, you know, give an initial look and see if it's worth your time. And then if it is something you want to do, we can help, you know, coordinate their visit. If they're coming on campus, we can get them a parking pass. And then also, once the article does come out, it'll be on our radar so that we can promote it through our channels and send it to our UF Health News social media manager and just make sure it gets out there in the best way possible. And going back to the patient authorization form, if they're, you know, if they are looking to speak to a patient on the subject, if we're looped in early, that gives us time to maybe find a patient or make sure the form is filled out correctly, things of that nature. And the last thing before I kick it over to Jackie is I did want to talk a little bit about logos. Don't boo me, no boos. So we get a lot of requests for logos, and we see great ideas, graphical design, but please note for any UF Health related entity, whether it be a center, institute, department, college, there are very strict rules both on UF and UF Health side to what you can do. They all really look the same, and you're encouraged to use those on your websites, on your letterhead, through all your communications. So down at the bottom of this page, if you don't know if your center has a logo or if you just want to kind of explore them, you can just go here. Sorry about my screen there. And you can look through. I'll show you a couple examples. You'll recognize these right away. They're the standard. These are the UF center logos. So Center for Smell and Taste, Cognitive Aging and Memory. So they all have the same look and feel. Now, if it's a UF Health logo, our marketing colleagues lead those logo requests, but we're happy to put you in contact with them to help you get the ball rolling. And also down here, if you want to like look into the brand guidelines and all that fun stuff, you can explore that too. But now I wanted to pass it over to Jackie, who is going to tell you about the UF Health Directory. This is a great new tool that was created by our web services team that's being used more and more. It's kind of a way to, in real time, keep your bio updated. You know, we all hate to go to a page and see one of these bios that hasn't been updated in 5 years. So this is really a tool that's going to help us move away from that. So, Jackie?
Yeah, thank you, Todd. So just kind of going over the importance a little bit. The directory is really wonderful because it lists all UF Health faculty, staff, and students, regardless of their location or affiliation. So this also includes Shands and Jacksonville, Shands and UF Health in Jacksonville, in addition to our Gainesville campus. Additionally, it's also got powerful search capabilities, so people can go on looking for a specific type of researcher in a field, or even, you know, whether it's administration member or a postdoc or anything of the sort. Additionally, the health system and MBI, really, we're trying to use this whenever we post on the website. So give a little example. So whenever we post a news article or something relating to a faculty member, we're really going to try and link out to those that directory page. So that way it's the most up-to-date version of your profile that we can that we have. So here we've linked out to Dr. Oken, some good stuff. Further, the health system as a whole is moving to adopt the directory. So a lot of the websites actually utilize the, it's called a directory block, and it pulls its content straight from the UF Health directory. So instead of having, you know, 3 separate profiles that you're having to manage, or, you know, send an email to the admin person and have them update on their time, you can go ahead and update it as frequently as you want. And just to give you a little example, so this is our ADRD T32 program. We're actually linking to the directory as well. And a few of our other websites do this. Now we're moving towards this as a whole, so this is really going to be something that you'll want to keep up moving, you know, from now on out. Let's see. So additionally, the best part of the program of the directory is that you can actually easily update your own profile. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So to log in, you just use your GatorLink username and password. You don't need to create anything new. It's just simply putting in what you have. Once you log in, you'll be able to view your own profile and make edits. You can tell what's editable by hovering over it, and if it's, you know, outlined in blue. Additionally, there's also a little pen marker to signify that you can edit that area. So sometimes you'll want to edit your name. Occasionally, I've seen misspellings in the system, as well as if you want to add a nickname, or if you get married and have a last name change. You can also add in websites, and you can edit your communications by, let's see, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can add in your business phone number, your personal phone number. For some people who are working off campus, especially right now, I think it'd be wise to add in your cell phone number if you feel comfortable putting that up. Let's see, I'm going to show you Dr. Goldie's profile, because he's done a really good job of filling it out and the various areas that you can, you know, utilize. So here he has his profile. He's got a bunch of really great links, including one to his Google Scholars profile. I think this is really great because it's just, you know, it's sort of the LinkedIn for researchers, and you can keep it even after you move away from UF. He's got his accomplishments, his research profile, talking about specific things within his research. Now, one of the great things about the directory is that the publications and grants actually auto-populate, meaning you don't have to do anything to make it go. So the publications link to PubMed, and they're automatically aggregated through your name, your author name. So going back, and then the grants come from an internal system. If you have any issues with this or it's not linking automatically, go ahead and send me an email or web services an email, and we should be able to correct this for you. Patents you do have to add in, but I highly recommend it. Really anything that you think is going to add to your research profile, I would highly recommend adding it, whether it's because you never know who's going to be looking at these, whether it's media members looking for a certain expert, or maybe even a foundation looking for reviewing your application and for award distributions. I think it's very important. All right, I'm going to kick it back to you, Todd, because that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Well, that kind of concludes our prepared presentation. So we'll go ahead and open it up to questions if anyone has any.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you unmute yourself.
Hi, Michelle. This is Malu Tanzi, and Jackie and Todd, thank you so much for that. From my perspective, I just want to say your team is fantastic. You've provided so much guidance for those of us who are new here, who just arrived and really didn't want to break the rules and needed a lot of hand holding. So thank you so much. I just, in fact, this morning just got a tweet from a friend. In fact, you probably know her, Laura Bolpicelli Daly. I know Todd knows her, who has been asking, you know, she wants to get a Twitter account, and she said, she was asking, personal or professional? Do people have two? What are people posting, right? And my response was, mine's always been professional, and I've always kept it about work until recent world events have forced a convergence of passion and action, right? And so that's kind of an touchy area, right? Because we are UF employees, and we, even though we have on our profiles, our views are our own. We need to walk that fine line so that we make sure that we don't say things that are going to go against UF policy or anything like that. So what are your recommendations for people on, things that should be some guidelines to kind of keep in mind when posting things?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and one that we've thought a lot about and talked to our web services team. So as far as having two different accounts, that can be tricky. I mean, you're a great example. You have a very large following.
Mhm.
I mean, over 1,000, I think, if I recall. So starting from scratch, that's going to be tough. And people do like to see the personal side of someone, I think, on Twitter. So, you mentioned saying the views are your own,
Mhm.
but that really more protects the university than the researcher, as far as we know. So I think you do have to be careful, especially with retweets, because we move quickly on Twitter and we retweet things, and we might only be looking at the language and maybe not the video that's attached to it and what's at the 7-minute mark of the video, So I just think really making sure you know what you are retweeting is important. And, I think you just want to keep in mind that, there are donors out there that may not share your views, so you just, there's really no perfect answer to it. I think it's kind of an individual choice. I mean, I think on that page we do link out to some of the official guidelines, but, it's a little vague, to be honest.
I think it's important to note that also on your personal page, anyone can really take a screenshot and send it to whoever. So, it's also important to note what you're putting on your personal page, I think, as well. I don't think it,
That's
yeah.
a good point. So even if you do have a professional and personal page, anyone can screenshot something on your personal page. And so, yeah, it's difficult to navigate out there.
Mhm. I encourage everyone, we have sort of a make your Twitter and tips page. Definitely access that, even if you've already, gone through the process of making your Twitter, because there's actually some really great tips that are specific to Twitter on there, as well as, like you said, some accounts to follow. I think you're actually one of the accounts we suggest, as sort of a model. But yeah, I suggest finding top researchers or people who you think are doing it well.
Yeah.
And I think sort of following them and sort of making notes of the type of content that they're posting, and the kinds of reactions that they're getting. I think that that's kind of important. It's just sort of monitoring the field.
So mine really started last year when I was about to come to UF, and Jada Lewis convinced me that we needed a Twitter account to promote the Southeastern Neurodegeneration Conference that we were holding here in Orlando.
Mhm.
And I said, okay. And so that's how it started. And so it started with a few followers in academia, and, it just grew from there. But you're right. I think every time I tweet something, I always think, where could it go? Who could see it? How could it be misinterpreted in ways that I can't even imagine?
Mhm.
And I keep most of the personal things and things that, are less professional on Facebook, not on Twitter.
Yeah, I think it's nice. Oh wait, Dr. Gott, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to give a shout out to Todd, Jackie, and Michelle. I think the job that they've done for the MBI and for the entire neuroscience and neuromedicine community has been absolutely unbelievable. And, it transformed our media presence and our communications, both internally and externally. And so I give a huge shout out to them, and they do this with incredible professionalism. And I've never heard them say, if never heard them say no. So, maybe we're not pushing you guys hard enough, but not really. I mean, they just do an absolutely fantastic job, and everybody should recognize that this is a resource for all of us, and they serve that really, really, really well, and they do a great job. And so we should be we're really, I'm delighted that they're in these roles and hope that they will stay.
Thank you, Dr. Goldie. And
Not only that, but they respond in like record time when you need them.
definitely.
Thank you all. We feel very supported by our leadership, and we appreciate that, Dr. Goldie.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. If you guys ever have a question regarding social media, or say you want to post something and you're just wondering whether it's okay, feel free to contact us. Like, we are here, we are a resource, and I would hate for you to have questions going into it and then just posting it. Yeah, feel free to shoot us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
And Dr. Goldie, you said we never say no, so you've never asked us for a fancy logo, I guess, or?
Oh, right. Yes, they do say no.
I'm just kidding. Did anyone else have any questions?
Just got a quick question. This is Diego.
Hi.
The profile that you have held, I was just wondering, is there a possible to add, nice eye-catching pictures, let's say, of neurons or histology sections or something that can help us to market or illustrate the type of work that we do? Or is just a policy to have a picture of the investigator or the faculty at the top? What is the guidelines for that?
I think that that's a great question. So if you have a collection of really impactful images that are de-identified of patient data or patient information, I would actually say you can store those, whether it's on like a Flickr account or a personal website of some sort, and you can actually link that out through your profile. So where they had those websites, I would encourage you, I think Flickr is a great tool, maybe making a professional Flickr, and that's FLICKR. If you have any questions, feel free to email any of us, and we'd be happy to help. But I think that would be a good option. Otherwise, no, there's no real way to input a gallery of like research images. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Diego, what I was thinking of doing, and I need to update is that there's you have your personal profile and you have the lab webpage that is under your center or your department or whatever, and you link to that, and that's where you discuss in detail more of the your projects, and you put your pictures, and it's whatever. I think that's the way that we're envisioning this, because I don't think you're going to have that's not really what the directory is quote unquote intended for. It's not your lab page, it's your personal sort of information. It's like your online bio, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea to link it to the profile. That's good. Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope this was useful, and you all have a great week.